Kia ora, it's day 60 of the trading journey. A green day overall, and I made back yesterday's loss with 2 trades on SPRO. Let's get into how the morning played out. So SPRO was a stock I traded today and it popped around 7 o'clock. So this is it here on the chart. So it broke up here. I didn't see it until it had sort of at the top of this green candle here. So it hit around $1.80 and was pulling back. So I didn't take it here as it came back down to retest the VWAP here. I didn't take it here. I wanted to wait for confirmation. I wasn't sure if it was going to keep coming down or whether it was going to break up at that point. So I was sort of waiting for confirmation, and really I should have been in around 170, 175 at this point here for either the break through the high or as it broke or on that micro pullback. Too many lines here. On that micro pullback on that candle there, after it broke, sort of came back down, and as it brought back up, I should have been in on that entry there. I actually hesitated on that, and so I missed the entry here at around 175, and that pushed up to around 214, which would have been a nice trade. I got in on the pullback here, the first pullback, and was in at 194, so around that level there, 194. So not a bad entry. The only thing was that it was probably a little early, as it did pull all the way back down to 180, 181 in that next candle. It did rally straight away pretty much back up to 194, so it wasn't down there for very long. It was just sort of a dip. And then it pushed up to 206, where I took my exit at the high of this candle here. Well, 1 cent off the high really, it was at 207, but I sold on the bid at 206. So that was my first trade, very quick and a decent trade there. I got $15, what was it, 15.36 profit on that trade. So could I have held longer? I possibly could have, but at this stage it sort of started to go sideways a little bit here, and I was a bit disappointed that it didn't break. Like, it pushed up here, but you know, the volume in this green candle here was lighter, and then the volume in this candle was lighter, and then more selling pressure came in on that one. And so it wasn't really a nice candle to buy back in on. It did push up and go to 224, 220 in the next couple of candles, which was good to see. And when it pulled back down here, back down to the 9 EMA, this is where I should have taken the next entry really, was off the 9 EMA. It was holding here, and as it pushed up and was breaking this level here, that would have been a good entry, around $2 for the push to 290. So not sure, even if I'd got in here, whether it would have held to 290. I probably would have been out around here, 260 or even lower, knowing me. But I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get back in at 195 and missing the bigger move here. And I think that's part of the frustration at the moment with my trading, is that when I do get winners, they're often quite small, and I'm missing, you know, the bigger moves. Like here, getting in at 175 for the push to 214, you know, 210, that would have been a nicer trade. And then the trade I do take, you know, I'm only getting 12 cents. Still, that's just over my minimum target, price range for cents per share, but getting 20 or 30 cents would be, it would help a lot better to obviously bring my account up and just get, just get some confidence really that I can get these bigger trades. But still, base hits are good, and as long as I keep getting base hits and I can control my losses, then hopefully my accuracy being a little bit higher usually will make me profitable. So I ended up pulling back and kind of going sideways along the VWAP here. So it bounced off the VWAP here at 218, and I thought pushed up to 244, and I thought I'd take a position here around 233 on the around here as it was crossing. Probably not the best idea because it was crossing over here, and it actually flushed all the way down to 215, and I was in at 233 on this candle here. So I ended up pulling all the way back. I held through that pullback, looking for it to hold at VWAP and then push back up. It did, and I ended up selling at 240 for 7 cents per share and a profit of $7.49. So not really happy with the execution on my entry on this one. I'm trying to buy at the turning point. So I'm looking at a point where it's going to hold support and then go back up. So I'm sort of counter trend trading, and I shouldn't be doing that. I should be waiting for confirmation of the trend and then buying in. So really the better entry here after that pullback would have been at this point, here, where it's held VWAP, it's pushing back up, and it's breaking that first green candle to push higher. And that entry would have been around 225, looking for it to push back up. 225, getting out at 240. So that would have been slightly better trade than being in at 233, holding through the pullback, and then really if they kept going down, if this had kept going down here, then I could have been in for a bigger loss, and that would have wiped out my profit that I'd already made on the trade prior. So not great execution on that entry. Exit was fine, exit was good, came up here. I saw that there was selling pressure coming in at 240, and I took my exit at 240. Actually sold on the ask. So I'd already placed that order at 240, looking for it to push up there, and it did, and it sold at 240, then pulled back. Did end up pushing higher up to 250 eventually, but this isn't where I should be trading it, really. It's going sideways. It's it's basically trading between the VWAP and around 240, 250. And it kept going sideways, sort of around the VWAP and into the open, where it did push up to 235, and then still going sideways until later in the morning. So those are my two trades on SPRO, and I was happy with the first trade where I was entering because I was giving it the opportunity to be in early and to get that move, but not holding long enough, possibly to get the exit that I wanted, and not actually getting in again when it looked, when it was making this bigger move here. So getting in here, the break of around the $2 mark as it pushed back up here, and that volume coming in on this candle here, that's where I should have been getting in. So the other stocks that I sort of looked at today were SGBX, which really didn't do much. It had popped up earlier on in pre-market around 4:30 to make a high of 355. And when I saw it, it was in around this area here. I had just gotten up. It had just made that high there and it was pulling back. So really, when it was coming along here, I did think about getting in for a pushback, but with the volume profile declining and the red candles being quite substantial, I didn't get in. And then it flushed down here on that red candle below VWAP. And although it did push back up there, I just thought it was too risky. It was on the backside of that move, and it looked like it was gonna keep going down. And it did, flushed again, and then that was pretty much it for SGBX. I think it just went sideways below VWAP and just went lower and lower as pre-market, for the rest of pre-market and into the open, I think. Yeah, that was pretty much it for that stock. So didn't trade that. And BROG was on my watch list from after hours the day before. So in after hours the day before, this had popped up from $3.32 all the way up to $7.67. $7.67 made a high of. And then sort of held through after hours. But pre-market, it dipped. And yeah, it did push again here just before 7 o'clock. And this is what I saw. And this was the first stock I thought about taking a trade on. So as it was breaking up through here, I saw it break through VWAP and push all the way to 540. I missed the entry here when it broke VWAP, and when it was sort of up here, I didn't want to get in, so I thought I'd be chasing. And then it pulled back down to 518, 520. And I did think about taking a position here around 520, but it was pretty quick. It sort of pulled down here, and by the time I sort of had made that decision that, oh yeah, I'm going to get in, it had already pushed back up to 536, 537, and I was too late. Well, I felt I was too late to get in here. And then it pushed up again to 577. And then I left it because it was just sort of got choppy, was going back, up and down through here between 588 and sort of went sideways through this area. And yeah, by the time it sort of broke up here to 7 o'clock, I didn't really want to take it because 7 o'clock is a time when stocks can either push quite well or reverse, and that's what happened with this stock. It hit a high of 630, and then that was pretty much it, and then it rolled over and pulled back and just kept pulling back, and that was it for BROG. So I missed the trades on that one, and that was just before I traded SPRO. LVWR was the other stock that popped up as well. This initially popped, I think, around the same time as SPRO. So yeah, here. So I was trading SPRO. Where's that button here? When it popped up and broke through VWAP around 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock. So I sort of saw this, but it was late. I was late getting to it, and it had already sort of pushed up and pulled back, and then had gone into this sort of choppy mess here, sideways, and then pulled back. So I didn't trade any of this, and I'd gone away from it to, I can't remember what I'd gone away to look at. I think I got back to SPRO or something like that at 7:30. And then it broke above 386 and pushed all the way to 483. So that was a nice push there as well. But yeah, I missed that as well. And then going into the open, SGN popped up, I think, just before. Was it just before? Let's have a look. Yeah, so this popped up, yeah, just before 9 o'clock, 8:45, and this pushed up here, and I saw it as it was clearing 227, I think, and it sort of gone sideways on these candles here. So really, entry here, you know, could have been as it broke up through this level here at 235, or you could have taken an aggressive entry here around $2, around the $2 mark, for it to hold the whole dollar, which would have been a nice trade up to 305, really, $1 a share. But yeah, I didn't take any of this, and then it had 3 candles pulling back here, and made this nice green candle here push up to 285 from 255. But yeah, tough one to trade if you're trading the break of the first green candle. Suppose you could have been in as it broke up through that red candle there. But yeah, this is sort of the entry here at 288 for a push to 340. But I didn't trade any of this. I sort of missed that initial entry off of $2, and I was getting quite tired by this stage as well. So I wasn't at 100% really going into the open. So I decided, and the other thing as well is I just started doing all my notes on the trades on SPRO, and kind of was concentrating, or had already decided that I wasn't going to trade anything else. So when this popped up, I wasn't really in the right mindset to take a trade on it. Yeah, but I stayed out of that one as well, and it's by the time it got up here and sort of went sideways, I just felt it was too risky for me to take a trade on it, because I didn't want to lose the profit that I'd already made that day. So already made on the day, and that was it. I didn't watch the open, but yeah, SGN sort of held there, and I didn't notice anything else really. So yeah. So 28th of May, I made a total profit of $22.85, 2 trades on SPRO, 194 out at 206 with 128 shares, $15.36 on that one, and 107 shares in at 233 out at 240, 7 cents a share, $7.49 profit on that, so $22.85. So looking at this week, brings me into the green, which is nice, and I did make back that loss yesterday. After fees and commissions though, I probably will be red on the week still, so hopefully I can get a couple of more green trades next couple of days and finish the month at least green on the week, which would be nice. Obviously not going to be green on the month, but if I can get the equity curve going up in the right direction at the end of the month instead of down, that would be a bonus. Looking at green days versus red days, I do have more green days than red days this month, which is also positive. It's just I do need to tidy up these big red days, which I kind of have. You know, the last few red days that I've had, well, those 2 red days there at the end of last week were actually because of fees. If I turn that off, see gross profit before fees, they're actually green, but because of how many trades I took on the day, I took 4 trades on Friday and 3 trades on that. So the roughly to buy in is around $1.04 or something like that, depending on how many shares and whether it's a buy or a sell order. And so if you're looking at 3 trades, that's around $6, around just over $6 in fees, and then 4 trades would be around $8 in fees. So after that, that drops my green days to red days after fees. So yeah, so my losses have been reduced. Last week red day was $41, and this week I had a red day which was $20, which is a bit better than the $181 and $79. So if I can keep it down like this, then even if my green days are still small and still base hits, with the odd one that's getting up there around $30, $40, hopefully I can end up becoming green on the month and actually adding back to my account, and slowly get into becoming more profitable and getting a green month. So that's the goal for April, and the goal for May at the moment is just to have a couple more green days and have a green week in the last week of May. I'm definitely feeling some FOMO today. I played it safe, stuck to my setups, and walked away green, which I'm happy with. But missing those bigger moves while only landing smaller wins, that's a little bit frustrating. I'm also feeling a bit tired, so I wrapped it up before the open. No point forcing trades when I'm not 100% in the zone. If you've ever had a day where you're green but still feel like you've left money on the table, I'm right there with you. Drop a comment below if you've traded today. I'd love to hear how it went. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're finding these daily recaps helpful. I will see you tomorrow. Hei a popo.